Hey everybody, great to be back with you. Mike Fairborn here for Generating Income in Your Portfolio. Looking forward to today's discussion. We do this from time to time where we talk about companies that are in the process of raising their dividend and what that can mean. Companies raise dividends. Normally, it can be tied into better fundamental position. They've had better cash flow, whatever the case is. They've got to pay that dividend. And a lot of traders, investors will look to trade around an increasing dividend. So I've got 15 of those to show you today. Plus, I have actually also a couple of special dividends, but I've got a couple. I think those are the only two in the S&P 500 that are upcoming in the next quarter, fairly soon, actually in December. Look forward to going through those with you as well. Would like to just welcome everybody here in the chat. We've got Rocky from PA. We've got David, Krishna. Great to have you guys here, as well as High Speed Scott, Thomas, Robert Boucher. We've got Jay Richardson. Welcome to all of you. We've got a good friend of mine in the chat, James Boyd. You'll see him in the chat as JB. Very knowledgeable on this topic. Does teach some other fundamental topics as well. Folks, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to our channel, I encourage you to do so. Bottom right-hand corner of the screen, very easy, simple to do. Just click on the subscribe button. Love to have you on board if you're not already a subscriber. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into some disclosures because there are plenty, 15 stocks to take a look at that are raising their dividends in the S&P 500. So with that, disclosures here, information here's for general information purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or endorsement of any particular security, chart pattern, or investment strategy. A couple of additional points in there. As you can see, options do carry a high level of risk, not suitable for all investors. Now, the paper money software application, which we'll be looking at, is for educational purposes only. Investing does involve risk, including the loss of principal, and past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results or success. Finally, here, looking at a few points. If we do get into it, not sure if we will, but risks of REITs are similar to those associated with direct ownership of real estate. Some additional points there, as well as the fact that there are risks associated with investing in dividend-paying stocks, including, but not limited to, the risk that stocks may reduce or stop paying dividend payments. Quick note too, short options can be assigned at any time up to expiration regardless of the in-the-money amount. An ITM option does have a high risk of being assigned early. Now, taking a look at what we've got over here on our screen, we do have the S&P 500 index, and if we zoom into that, that's actually a 2-year chart. Here's a 6-month chart. Just a high yesterday. We're very, very close to that range. All else equal, a lot of times technicians, traders will like to see the price of a stock, in this case, it's the S&P 500, an index, at least holding above that prior high level, maybe, consolidating there, showing a tendency to do so. We are into December, and I'm going to quickly just show you over here the seasonality chart. As we've been tracking the seasonality as of late, when you do have an upward trend that we had this year, this is 2024 price movement of the S&P 500 over a 5-year time frame. And then we look at the trend over here, which is the average of the S&P over that 5-year time frame up here. You can see that there are some correlations. In fact, the trends were both up, denoted that by the arrow pointing higher. And we did take out some prior highs. We took out prior highs over here, and we're extending higher. Now, what does the end of the year have if we do follow? If we do follow, and that's an if we follow the traditional seasonality, we might continue to rise towards the end of the year. Would that get us to 6,250 or 6,200? I'm sorry, or we could actually just say 6,100. That would be the question. But we have been following that traditional seasonality pattern: 5-year, 10-year, even 20-year. Here's a look at the 10-year. You can see the tendency to climb higher towards the end of the year. It may, in fact, end up being one of those years. It certainly was through November. 10-year, 20-year, 5-year. We'll see if that trend does continue. But just to look at the markets, let's talk about dividends, and let's talk about companies that are raising dividends, which oftentimes can be an interesting indication of strength within a company, right? They have the cash to raise the dividend, generally speaking, right? And so it's an indication of fundamental strength, which could ultimately lift share prices or the value of the company up collectively too. So there are some checks that we want to take a look at, specifically on the cash flow statement, just to see how cash flows are operating. We're going to take a look at that for sure, looking under the hood, so to speak, as we do like to say, and seeing specifically the standing of the company's cash flows that they would use to pay dividends. So we'll do that. But before I get into that, quick note under the Market Watch tab. Of course, you can, under the Market Watch tab, take a look at the calendar. And the calendar does have, right there, dividends. It's got dividends here. Now, it's got specific dividends. This is for the month. Well, let's see. We're in a month here, and I've clicked on Tuesday, and you can see right here we've got 4 companies that are all paying dividends. Now, what this shows us is the ex-dividend date. The ex-dividend date is the date. You know, you have to own stock. You've got to buy stock and hold it through the next day to the ex-dividend date. Right. So you have to own it before the ex-dividend date to be able to be on the record date, so that you can receive those dividends into your account. How this is structured under the Market Watch tab up top here, when you go to the calendar, subtab calendar, and then you click on dividends, well, you can see here that it's setting it all up based upon the ex-dividend date, which is the record date. Of course, you have to be there before that date. So in other words, to get the dividend, we had to have purchased yesterday for everything here in order to be on the record, purchased and held through that date. Okay, so there you have it. Now, as you look at this, these are the dividends, and we've got the dividend announcement. So there is some good data. There's some good information. And by the way, you can also see over here the payable date, and you can check this out with really any company you've got. If there's a company out there, I mean, does NVIDIA, I think NVIDIA does pay dividends, not a ton, but we run the S&P 500 collectively. But if I want to put up NVIDIA, NVDA, there we go. We do have one there. See, it spotted it for us in the month of this month, Thursday, and it would tell us if we ever wanted to track and see and just try to confirm that we did receive dividend payments from NVIDIA. There are times where you're not going to receive that and they might overlook it. So it's a good way to also kind of check that too. I'm going to go back to the S&P 500. We're just going to click on our gear and we're going to go to our S&P 500, and there you go. So that was Thursday. You can see we've got a ton over here as well to take a look at, but a great way to look at it. The one thing we're not seeing here on this list is we are not seeing the increase. And I know just by the looks of many of you in our chat, you guys are looking for the increase, which just so happens. That's what we're going to be looking at today, the dividend increase. Now, you might be interested in some of this information, but hey, have they been increasing it? We've talked about companies like, for example, the Dividend Aristocrats. And that list, as you know, let me just go ahead and we'll get into our increases here in just a second. But that list is over here, left-hand side. It is a public folder now, and there it is right there, 25 plus year. You got the Dividend Kings right there, but raising the dividend each and every year. Okay, it's oftentimes a very interesting indication of these companies, and they've had the ability to raise the dividends over long stretches of time. And when a company can raise the dividend over a long period of time, many of these companies do have this long upward trajectory, this long upward trend. This is a 10-year weekly chart. I could go out longer, but the fact that they have been able to pay dividends, increase each and every year. I mean, this was a big pullback, right? To 2020. What was this company doing? It was increasing dividends. When prices were coming down and they're increasing dividends, yeah, that dividend yield was really shooting up. Now, I've got a ratio in here I'm going to take off here, but I'm going to pull up for you the historical dividend yield, and you can see it. It will spike here because the company didn't cut their dividends. They didn't keep them the same. They raised their dividends, this A.O. Smith, which I do understand does water filtration units for big companies, which actually, by the way, just as a side note, it's kind of interesting, but a guy down the street, my neighbor, does that. He's built some big filtration systems for Pepsi. Now, that's a total side note, and it wouldn't matter, but I just so happen to, I've seen it. I've gone to his local factory here to kind of check it out. These things are massive. Some of these filtration systems are the size of a house. If you have not seen one yet, for Pepsi locally here, they have a big location here in this neck of the woods. Anyways, Processes like so many, you know, hundreds of gallons of water every minute. It's kind of crazy. But boy, that was a side note. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up this over here and just kind of highlight. We're going to add this in. And just go type in historical, and I've got a historical yield here to throw out for you. And let's pull that up right now. Okay, did we spike? We did spike. That historical yield, folks, did spike right there. Now, this, by the way, any scripts that we have here, this one was built in ThinkScript. It's not guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. Just as a side note, I can share that like on my X handle. Well, let's say, no, I can't. I'm sorry. What I could do is I could share it in our class right now, and I can also post the link if you don't have. It's already in, I think, the more section under the description under YouTube. But let me know if you don't have it. I can post it here just so you got it. But there's the spike. Okay, and we're looking for companies that raise that dividend. This is Aristocrat, and sometimes you've heard of some of these famous market participants out there. They say buy when there's quote unquote blood in the streets, and they do that because they might have what they consider to be a very, very strong fundamental company that can raise dividends in good times and bad. I mean, that was a fairly big dip. That we're about close to about $65, dipped down here to about 35, a 30-point dip. And what did this company do? They raised their dividend. That was a spike. And you can see that we really spiked over here as well. And a lot of times these can be associated with longer term bottoms, perhaps, on the chart. So it's a really kind of a nice sort of a tool to have to be able to look back historically and see where it might be considered undervalued to a income-minded investor. All right. Anyways, it's raising the dividend that we're after. And I've got a list of these companies right here that I want to go through with you today as we go through. Let's just shrink up everything. Take a look at it. By the way, how's everything doing over here? Okay. Still up on the day. Now, let's close this down. And what we'll do is we will take a look at these are the dividend increases that have either just occurred or that are upcoming. MSFT. You've heard of some of these, right? My guess is, yeah, obviously you've heard of some of these companies. Now, they've raised it from 75 cents up to 85. This wasn't actually on my initial list of dividend increases to take a look at, but you can see it right there. Okay, the icon for that is that dollar sign right there, that green dollar sign, from 75 cents to 83 cents. Now, what's interesting is the price of the stock has dipped, but they raised, I'll put a plus there, they raised the dividend payment. So we know that, okay, if we've got dividends up top or dividend payments, I'll just put DP up top, dividend payments, right? And then we've got the stock price down below. If this goes higher and the stock price goes lower, what happens to that ratio? It goes up a lot. I mean, it could go up higher. If the stock price stays the same and the dividend payments go up, it still goes higher. But this scenario, when you're dropping in price and raising the dividend payments, that's where the dividend yield can really jump up quicker, right? But you're seeing that right there. So this is one of the companies. I'm going to go into some of these others here, like McDonald's. McDonald's, right over here, as you can see, has pulled back, dipped over here earlier. That might have been a pre-announcement on earnings, but you can see it's basically shored up a lot of its pricing. In fact, I'm going to go to a one-year chart, give us a little bit bigger perspective. But you can see this right here. See this pullback we've got back there? It's kind of looking like a little bit like a possible flag pattern. Okay, flag. I'll go ahead and put a question mark over there. Do you see the dividend increase right there? That's what I'm talking about. Oh, and they just did it. So this is one that just barely occurred. I've got plenty that haven't occurred yet, but I've got a few that just had their ex-dividend date yesterday. Now, traders, investors, I should say, many investors are going to hold it for a longer period of time, might buy into something like this and hold it for an extended period of time, but this could be an indication to them of a possibility of strength in the company. How are those statements looking? The cash flow statement. I want to take a look at that with you in just a second. Before I do so, I want to point this out that, okay, there was a little bit of support through here. We might be holding near that, but there could also be a shoulder, head, shoulder pattern over here. And will that unfold? That is an interesting question. Now, this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. I thought it was pretty funny. And the prior inverted, that's not IV, that's just inverted. Okay, INV, head and shoulders pattern, like a head and shoulders bottom. But it was funny, but Riceberg said previously in a discussion today that he'd seen a head and shoulders pattern. It looked like it had rotator cuff surgery. You could possibly see that over here as well, right? And we'll see if in fact it breaks above this level, because then you'd be looking at a measured move on something like this. So we're still doing technical analysis on this and looking at potential price patterns, but look at that. It puts us probably very close to our high level. I'm just eyeballing that measured move, taking this price here and shooting it up to this level. If in fact it takes out that range and starts to break above that inverted head and shoulders pattern, basically up to that level. And some traders could be looking at that. And could there be another reason for it to go higher? That's really one of the key questions and key points I wanted to bring up today. Could it go higher because of strengthening fundamentals? They just raised the dividend. Okay, they raised it just under 6%. 5.99% is what I've got written down. 5.99%. Now, what we're going to do here is we are going to take a look at Schwab.com, and we're going to go right into McDonald's. And where I've gone into, folks, I've just gone into the research section. I've typed in MCD, the symbol. I've gone down into statements. And I'm looking at the cash flow statement. Within the cash flow statement, I am looking at a detailed view, an annual detailed view, okay? This is interesting because it does read from, right to left over here, which is different. It's a little bit different. A lot of times we're looking at the other way, but it's like you're reading, in the wrong or in the other opposite direction. But it goes, yeah. So this is the newest and this is the oldest. And so we're looking for increases going from right to left. So what we want to do is we're under cash flow from operations, and let's just scroll down and take a look at a few things that we've got over here. I'm looking for the total in this all-important column. I've talked to James about this many times. And by the way, if I ask James right now, it's very likely that he would say, yes, cash flow from operations is an important figure. I would tend to agree as well. We're looking for what's happening within the company, not down here in investing and down further that we have as well. We've got other cash flow metrics, but not investing, not in financing, but in the actual operations of the company, okay? I had talked to, my background's in accounting, and I'll just say that I had talked to CFOs before, and they said that CFO, chief financial officers, and they have said, that this is a very important point. There's a lot of, there's a lot of indications you can take a look at online about them talking about, there's really only one cash flow they like to look at, and that's from operations. It's really key. The other ones will vary for different reasons, but you want to see the performance of the company down here. Take a look at it going from, in this case, right to left. What do you see? Do you see stability, potential increases? Now, I'm seeing this is the highest number here. I was talking to Bree on our production crew before we got started. We were talking about McDonald's, and she said, hey, well, that's because the price of the combo meal went higher. Well, hey, that's a lot of combo meals. But whatever the case is, yeah, that jumped up. That's a big increase from the prior year. What have they chosen to do with that? Pay some of that out as dividends and continue to pay that. But see how it's a reflection of performance here, potentially? Remember, cash flow from operations, one of the key points that, really a lot of fundamental analysts, CFOs, et cetera, will look at to judge really kind of relative performance of the company. What are they actually collecting in cash? Is it stable? I would say it's stable, but increasing too. A little bit of a dive there in 2022, a little bit from the prior year, but really the highest over the past 5 years. You can see the total dividends paid over there. Has McDonald's continued to raise those dividends right here? You find that under cash flow from financing, or also noted as CFF. CFF. Cash flow from financing activities. Again, from right to left, what are we seeing over here, folks? I am seeing an increase. They are paying that, and that does tie in to what we're seeing up here. Now, what we wouldn't want to see, I might as well just put this in red, is, for example, if this was going up, but this was going down over time. So on one side, if this was going higher, they're paying more dividends. And that's really kind of the key point I'm looking at here. But this is trend analysis of cash flow from operations relative to cash flow from financing, specifically total dividends paid. You can see how are the dividends paid, folks? They are paid with cash. Okay. You want to see basically general strength, and we don't have that here. They're both of them are going higher over time, stable or higher. It's weird to be drawing these upward arrows going this direction, but hey, that's how the numbers line up over here, the columns, right, from right to left. But that's one of the key points I wanted to show you. You can see when how the dividends are doing, and they might not raise them every year, but they could. Okay, I've got plenty to go through here, but I wanted to go through that key point initially first. Are we good on that? You guys understand where to go here? I'm going to just start from the beginning so we can just kind of walk through, and I'll show you where I was at. So there's MCD. Oh, you know what? I got it. Well, once you're in it, you're kind of, you got to go back to start from the get-go. So here we go. We typed in MCD up top under Research Tools, and we're going to continue on down, look at the dividends. We could have seen increases there as well. But if we keep going, we got to get down to the statements. We want to go to our cash flow statements. And if we want to see more, this is really nice too. I was in the detailed view, but you can see quickly here, just from the sort of basic view, that one of the rows that it does give us is exactly the CFO, the cash from operations right there. Okay, to get cash from financing, you're gonna have to click on Show More and do a deeper dive, because it just gives us the total cash from financing, which one of those is the dividends. Okay, so how are we doing? Okay, we're going to get to some of these that have a little bit more growth associated with them. Yeah, there wasn't a lot on NVIDIA for sure, but oh, can't see the screen. Too small with me in it. Okay, let's see if we can do this over here. That's why I check. See, I'm on large here. Let's go to larger. Well, let's see if we can just fit everything into very large. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm going to pull this over. Yeah. It scrunches things up a little bit, but guess what? We're not using the tools we need. We would have otherwise used for, ThinkScript or whatever. So we should be good there. Okay, hopefully that helped out. All right, there's MCD. Now, a quick note on McDonald's. It is referred to as a dividend champion. That means a dividend champion has been raising, or aristocrat's been raising the dividends 25 plus years. So the same thing, a dividend aristocrat is McDonald's. So this has a history of doing this for 25 years. We're just saying it is doing it again. And we looked at the cash flows from operations, and we also looked at the technicals as a second and third step sort of reference point for us to gain more information about the company. All right, by the way, did that help on the font size? That's what I could do on my end. Hopefully that did make the size bigger relative to my head. All right, let's hit some of these others in here, because I want to hit these, and then we'll take a look afterwards. Let's look at some of the charts, though. Here's Matt W., but here is the full list. So you can see these bottom two are the special dividends. We're going to hit these at the very, very end. But let's take a look at this Matt W. here, which is Matthews International, company I really haven't tracked too much. Let's see. This company is also a dividend champion, but yeah, I don't know. This is let's take a look at it. 3 segments, industrial. Okay, well, you can take a look at the company. Quick note though, what do you see here? Now they did raise the dividend, and they raised the dividend about a little over 4%. Anything interesting here? Some of these dividend companies are starting to move a little bit. That's a fairly sizable gap. Sometimes around earnings, you need an earnings announcement that you can see is taken positively by the market. That's obviously a positive response. There's a massive gap. Write a G right in the middle of that. There's a gap there. We cleared some prior highs that we might be resting at right now. And that looks a little bit like a possible lag pattern. Will it unfold or not? They did raise the dividend. The key point is we can go and take a look and say, is this a reflection of the company's confidence that they can raise the dividend too and pay that money out, even though they maybe would like to keep that money, but it's a sign that they do have additional funds and maybe things are going better than expected. But there you go. It's possibly for an income-minded investor, another reason for possibly the stock to go higher is a reflection of stronger fundamentals. And that's what we're kind of seeing over here. Now, that one had this on the 2nd, December the 2nd. There were quite a few as well on December 2nd. Let's continue on Nike. NKE, they raised the dividend a little over 8%. So now we're getting up close to double digits. We've got a double digit or two in here in terms of the increases, 37 cents to 40 cents. There you go. Okay, so the forward yield on it, right? If we're looking at a forward yield where I'm getting the percentages at, because you're not just looking at, you're taking the 40 cents and we're multiplying that by 4, right? And that's going to get us somewhere around 2. Well, let's see. It's going to get the yield up. I was looking at the yield itself, but that forward yield can increase. In fact, I have another little think script I'm going to throw out here for you guys, but it's just called Yield Display, which is just really nice and easy. It just puts it in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Anytime you're on it, you can kind of just take a look and see where we're at on that. Okay, so there you go. So we've got this as well. You could take a look at that. So how's Nike doing kind of a little bit longer term? Well, it's been down for quite some time. Maybe some traders think that there could be reversal potential. Maybe it could bottom down through here. You can see the historical dividend yield. I'll keep referencing this as well, but you can see over the prior 10 years, even though the yield's not that high, we're getting really in an area that we had not been in for a long, long time above this range. I mean, there you go. It's a historically high dividend yield, at least referencing over the past 10 years. Now, that's interesting, but they're also, what are they doing? They're raising that dividend. This is referred to as a dividend contender. They've been raising those between 10 and 24 years, right? So just under the aristocrat time frame of 25 years, but at least 10 years. So Nike, 10 to 24 years, raising the dividend each and every year consecutively without missing a single year. So there you go. Could this be an area of value investing? Sure, perhaps it could. Let's go to Lockheed Martin. They've raised theirs as well right here. Lockheed is also a dividend contender, right in that 10 to 20 year time frame, 4.76%. Do you see the raise right there? They raised it 15 cents. Okay, we're going to ramble through a few of these just because I want to make sure we get all of them under our belt and have enough time to talk about the special dividends too. PFG, the smallest percent increase, about a 1.4% in that range. This is also a dividend contender. HIG, all these could be very interesting to look at though. If you were looking for dividend increases as a possible way to trade these. HIG is the biggest. This is Hartford. The biggest dividend increase right here, about 10.64% from where they had previously been. Also a dividend contender. What do we see up here? Well, we broke above some highs here. Will it hold at that level and go higher? Well, perhaps. That's something that a trader could be looking at. Okay, ASB, which is referred to as Associated Bank Corp, a bank company, a dividend contender as well, 4.55% dividend increase. You can see it again right there. Okay, it doesn't pay a ton, but it did pay, and it gapped up as well. Cass Information Systems, 2.78 dividend contender. Dolby. Okay, Dolby raised, let's see, a 10% even. This is a 10% increase that you can see it right there, 30 cents dividend to 33 cents dividend. Is it again enough to get us above a range here and going higher? Now, what I'm going to do, because on Dolby, let's reference a few of these on the cash flow statement to see them as well. Dolby's been down for a little bit, as you can see, and I don't know what's going on down here, but our dividend yield's all jacked up. As you can see, it's not functioning right now. Historical yield, I don't know why, but there's Dolby. The dividend yield doesn't work. So let's go back into our, right there. Yeah, back into Schwab.com. And we'll go in and we'll take a look at DLB right now. There's Dolby Labs. Okay, so we'll pull up Dolby Labs. We'll pull it down. Let's see how that cash flow growth has been doing. Again, we can see this very quickly right off the top just by a couple of clicks. Okay, so here we are. I would say it has been stable, but nothing too extraordinary. Stable, but not growing. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, here we are. 5 years ago, we were total cash for operations was 344 million. This is 327. And it has been down. I mean, it's above 2022. It's below 2023. So it was higher here. It was lower here than 2023. So that could also be a consideration, but they're raising that. A quick note too. Let's do this. Let's scoot up and just see what the projected earnings might be as well. Historical earnings, you got to click on show more here. We're doing a little bit of a deeper dive. What are they expecting on the year? They are expecting increased earnings, and maybe they have guided analysts to that point as well. How have their earnings per share doing over since 2022? Well, they were higher 13.4%. Looks like 6 point something percent, and then they're anticipating, this is estimated here, it is an estimate of 7.1. So could this factor in to our consideration? Maybe we look into the company a little bit more. Maybe we believe possibly what the company may be guiding higher for. This is what the analysts are guiding collectively, but a lot of times that can come from specific feedback from the company itself. The executives of the company might be providing that information to analysts. I mean, in the conference calls, etc. So could this factor into it, an estimate? Sure, it could. The cash flow might go up from that, and that could be of interest as well. Cash flow. Maybe that will cause this cash flow to grow. Right now, it's just, I would say, stable, or just slightly down over the past 5 years. So this is just taking it to the next step as we go through and we look at these dividends and try to confirm and see what else we're finding out there. That's an interesting move, though, on Dolby, a strong breakout on earnings, at least clearing some prior highs. But that's your 10-year weekly long-term. Okay, let's get through all of them. I wanted to hit all 15. This is Lancaster Colony Corporation. Not sure what they do, but this is the only dividend king on our entire list. So yes, these guys have been raising, not for 10 years, not for 25, but for 50 years minimum. They've been raising the dividends. This is a dividend king. That's a lot of recessions that they've raised through. A lot of good times and bad they've raised. In fact, if I come over here, you could see that the dividend yield, well, it's kind of right in the middle. So nothing too spectacular, but we haven't seen like a massive, decrease in price either to really kind of shoot that yield up. We're not quite there yet. Well, I don't know if we will be either. I shouldn't have said there yet. We don't know if it'll be there. But as we're looking at it now, it's just not there. Okay, Brown-Forman, about 4%, dividend champion or aristocrat. So they like to refer to those as. Quick look over here to see our historical yield. Prices have come down a lot, and that has helped to influence, obviously, the dividend yield going higher, just above 2% right now. Not the lowest, though, over the past 10 years, but it has been there. All right. Let me just step back and see what else we've got. Any questions coming through? We're just kind of getting towards the end of our list, looking at a lot of these. That's right, Jay Richardson. Exactly. We've got that. That's why I had this on this list. So we're just about there in terms of the special dividend, and we'll be there very, very soon. Here is the next one that's raising dividends. Churchill Downs at 7%. So actually a pretty good increase there in terms of the dividend increase. They've been raising them between 10 and 20 years. There's dividend contender. See, this is West Banco. Gap over here. And sometimes you wonder, was that on a dividend increase or not? But there was a dividend increase. And you can see some of these with the dividend increase. We've seen a fair number of these actually that have gapped up and maybe will hold support. And that's really kind of the key point. One of the key points that I wanted to make today during our discussion is that you can see very interesting, oftentimes technical moves when a company does report that they will increase the dividend yield, because it's, again, a reflection of potential financial strength. Just always like to verify that in the statement of cash flows, though. All right, and there is our last one here. This is UniFirst, and they're raising it just over 6%. Again, some pretty good strength. Notice that these announcements are coming after earnings, these gaps. Sometimes that's when they'll announce. Sometimes the dividend increase. You can see the ones I just looked at more recently, we have not seen, the dividend X date has not occurred yet. The dividend X date here is going to be, let's point to it right there. Let's see, it is the 6th. So what does that mean? What day do we have to buy in order to capture the dividend in this hypothetical example? What day would we have to buy to capture the dividend? That's the question. All right. So throw that in the chat just to confirm. We should be good to go. But here is Ryanair. I'm going to go full screen on Ryanair right now. Ryanair, it is a REIT. And Ryanair does. Okay, so the timberland. So it looks like they're a softwood timber growing company. So that's what they're doing. So it's a REIT based on timber. And let's take a look at it a little bit longer term as well. It's been kind of a sideways channel. Thank you, David. You nailed it. You have to buy it. If the ex-dividend date is on the 6th, you're going to be buying it on the 5th or before, as David stated, as well as Stevie. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, you got it. I just wanted to get that out there because people do miss that, and I was one that missed that early on and just wanted to bring that up. So there we have it. But there is, right now, it's got a special dividend. As I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to zoom in on the special dividend. You can see it right there. There's your standard dividend, and then you've got, the standard is at the 28.5, and then you got a special. Hey, it's $1.80. Dividend doesn't mean that the stock's going to go higher, but it can mean that they have additional funds to pay out. And I just wanted to highlight this one. Costco had one, I want to say, last year. Let me give you an example. Let's look at Costco as a reference here. Here is Costco. What was their special dividend? It wasn't too shabby. It was actually quite big, and you're going to see it right there. It was, still right in the middle of my screen, about, I see 15? Yeah, about 15. 15 extra dollars right there. Now, the standard Costco dividend was about $1 and change. You can see about $1.02. There's 15 in there. Okay. So if you say to yourself, well, that's a big increase. I mean, let's just get a few different ways to look at it here. If I had my calculator, there it is. Just take a look at it. We're getting, let's just say we were getting about $4 a year. So 15 divided by 4, it's about close to 4 years worth, not quite 4 years, but darn close, 3.25 years, 3.75 years of dividends that you're getting in a special dividend payment. Now, back off for just a second. Where could these be interesting? Is that we just step back from this, right? Just backing up. In this scenario right here, what did Costco do? Did Costco go down? No. Did Costco go up? It did. Plus a $15 dividend. Now, this is all in hindsight, right? This is all in hindsight, folks. But that's where some investors say, listen, they had additional cash. And I'm trying to remember Costco exactly. It was something along those lines, like they did have like this windfall profitability, and they just wanted to give out some to the shareholders. That's quite a bit. Almost 4 years of 4 years of dividends. in one shot. How did that work out? Well, the stock's up, I guess, hitting a high this week or today, and you still got all these additional dividends plus a big 15 payout in dividend. Now back to Ryanair. We'd want to look at the company. You know, there are additional things you want to look at. We talked about that initial disclosure right on the REITs, sensitive to changes. But let's see, $1.80. I mean, that's a fairly sizable dividend, is it not? I mean, in fact, if we were just looking at it and we were saying, what's the dividend yield on Ryanair right now? Well, it's just going to look at it a different way. It's about 3.6%. And some of these, you know, the REITs are a little bit higher in many cases. A lot of times they are because they have to pay out under law, 90% of their income out as a dividend. But if we do this, if we say 180, just that dividend alone, let's just see what that dividend yield is. If that was like all they were receiving in 1 year, what does that look like? So here's my calculator again, just a few different ways to look at it, and then we'll be all set here. But $1.80, just putting into our formula here, and where's the price of the stock at right now? Divided by 31.71, that yields at 5.6%. But that's just one dividend payment by itself. Okay, that doesn't include the other payments that you're getting in because, as was mentioned in the chat, you are getting additional. Yeah, you're getting additional amount. So what would be if we're looking at the forward yield? I mean, at least after. Let's put it this way: the yield this year, if we were looking at it, I'm gonna put these in, assuming that those obviously get paid. If we get paid out. So let's do this. We've got 2.85. I'm going to confirm. Let's just see what we've got. 2.8, 2.85 and 1, 2, 3. Well, showing 3 of them. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay, forget it. You can always add these dividends in and then add the special dividend, see where that's at. Okay, but just a couple of additional. I mean, it's interesting to kind of look at and just see, how does this special dividend add up to maybe some of the other special dividends out there? For example, here's let's do 1.8. We'll divide that by 0.285. So it's about 6.3 years of just this prior dividend that we're looking at that you're getting right there in one shot. Okay, just a thought. Take a look at some of the financials. Look into it and see if that's something that's of interest to you. Okay, I want to throw that out there to you folks. And the last one is right over here. This is Dillard's. Isn't it Dillard's? I thought it was. Yeah, Dillard's. What is Dillard's doing? Dillard's is paying it, and that's an expensive stock, but the special dividend there is $25. Okay. Oh, by the way, that's going to be a lot more than the dividend yield they have over here because that's only 25 cents. Okay. Now let's do a comparison here. I think I know the number, but 25 divided by, oh, you know what I should have done? That was I'm sorry, the last one on that Ryanair. I should have gone back. Let's do Ryanair again because we're looking at a full year's dividends, not just a quarter. So it was 0.285 times 4. Okay, so it was 114. So what we're going to do is we're going to see 114 a year, but we want to take that to our 180. Sorry, I want to do the whole thing. 1.14. 180? Was that 180? I think so. Yeah. And then it was about a year and a half is all. Sorry. I wanted to get that comparison because it's going to be different. I had like 6.3 years or something. It's actually 1.5 years, a different number. Now, if we look at the standard here, it was 0.25. It's going to be $1. And so you look at it about a 25-year difference, right? Because here we are with a dividend of 25 years of standard dividends. But there you have it. So how does this look? Is this a cup and handle? We don't know. They've got some additional funds to pay out. We don't know. You want to dig into the details and find out what's going on, folks. All right. Well, I hope you found this informative and useful. I like to do this from time to time so you can see what those dividend raises are, how to check those out in the statement of cash flows as well. Folks, hit that subscribe button if you like today's content. Would appreciate the like if you're able to do that, if you did like it. But that helps, keep that YouTube algorithm with this kind of content coming up more frequently for you. On that note, appreciate it, JB. in the chat. Great to see all the comments going forth. Folks, look forward to future discussions with you. Have a great rest of the day.